Good morning, everybody. I'd like to read today the parable that we find in Luke 17, 11 through 19. It's often referred to as the parable of the lepers. Leprosy in those days was not the same as we consider it today. In those days, it could be any skin disorder. It could be a rash, and it could be an open sore on your flesh. And if you had that, you would have to go to the rabbi, the high priest, if you will, and he would assess whether it was basically contagious or not. And if it was, you would be sent away for like 7 days to be out of the main population. And then you come back 7 days later and you recheck it. And you saw that your skin was white, and the hair that grew out of that white skin was also turning white, and it wasn't clearing up in that 7 days, you'd be kind of exiled to a colony, if you will, a leper colony, where other people with that same kind of condition with the skin disorder would be. And it kind of, there's evidence that they kind of formed their own society, these people. And so it was a combination of Jews and also Samaritans, different kinds of people that were in this outer land, you might say, that couldn't really deal with the population. And when they would speak to anybody that was outside, it would have to be from some great distance, and they'd have to always say, "Unclean, unclean," so they couldn't even be approached. So this is the background for this parable here. So it is Luke 17, 11 through 19. Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan, a foreigner. Jesus asked, "Were not all the 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well." And so we know that this man, we know that all 10 of them were healed as they left to go to the priest, because that's what the word tells us, that they were cleansed and healed as they went on their way. But only one came back, and it was a Samaritan, the one that wasn't even part of the main group, you might say, part of the main group of Jews that would have been there, which kind of makes you think about sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. They kind of got their healing and took the money and ran, you might say, but only one of them actually came back, and it was a person that was even the newbie to believing in Yeshua, most likely. And so it's kind of interesting. Now, when Jesus says, "Rise and go, your faith has made you well," keep in mind he already was healed. And so what is he actually saying in this part? Was it a spiritual healing he also received? The others may have gotten their physical healing, but this man got a little bit more because of his thankfulness. And it's believed that he was with the spiritual healing now as he rose and walked. So on this time of Thanksgiving, let us keep in mind that when we ask God for something, he's faithful, which he is, that we should be thankful and acknowledge, and not just take the healing and run, say, "Oh, I feel all the better now, I can go out and do this, and I can do that, and the other thing." But we need to be thankful. We need to give God thanks. It's what he desires from us, and it's only right. If a person would do something wonderful for you that you need it very desperately to be done, wouldn't you be thankful to them? Or would you just delighted that the problem was solved. Be thankful, be grateful to God.